Alright, YouTube. So, bought this kit that somebody's designing. I'll put some info about him at the bottom here. This is, I'm going to test it out. Apparently he sold quite a few of these to people. Own custom silicone coupler. Going to clean it out a little bit before I install it. Then his own vacuum line T setup. And the TurboSmart valves, which are made out of metal, unlike the... Alright, buddy, out of the way. What, you want to be in the video? Say what's up. Yeah, I'm gonna wipe down the insides of these before I put them in, just to make sure I get any gunk that might be in there from when they were made. But yeah, and supposedly from what I've heard on some other YouTube videos of these on other cars, these things are loud. And there's no whistle noise, it's just a loud whoosh noise. So yeah, about to get busy on the install. I have some extra vacuum hose from something else that I did that I'm going to instead of just to the part that goes to this T, and I'll show you what how I'm going to do that. So I'm basically saving the factory one in case I need to put it back on for any reason. I don't want to cut up the factory one. Now, one of the main differences that with his install is that he says instead of this hose back here, which is what, you know, like Z1 and everybody else does, is they take that hose off and put their little adapter setup on there. He does it from this hose right here, which is a lot easier to get to. And this goes to the PCV valve, which is right here. So I'm thinking it shouldn't really be a problem, but I don't want to cut that hose in case of something in the future I need to just put it back together. So I'm actually going to replace that hose with another vacuum hose that I had laying around from a previous project that I did. And then this one I'm going to cut and put the T in the middle. Alright, so first thing, you're going to need 12mm to take off the bolts here. See if I get this focus. That bolt and that one here, and then this one up here to release the heat exchanger. And I might even have to take this one off too. I think it's all four needs to come off. And then you're going to need 7mm to loosen it up a little bit with either any of these to loosen it up. And then you have the ones down here on both couplers at the bottom down here on the factory ones. I don't pull them all the way out just to keep track of what bolt goes where. So I just kind of leave them in place until it's time to move things. I kind of leave them, the bolts in the order of kind of where they go, so that when I put them back, just in case there's any differences, I know what bolt goes where. You know, all the bolts look like they're the exact same bolts, so except, see, this one has a 7 heat rating. Nope, they all have the same 7 heat rating. They look like they're the same size. All right, so this is a factory PCV hose that's on the driver's side. So it basically, let me see if I remember. It goes in like this. So this end goes to the manifold. This end goes to the PCV valve. So I'm just going to take another air hose, vacuum hose, cut it to about the same length, and then I'm going to splice into it with a T-junction so that instead of using this, in case I ever have to put this back on, I don't end up destroying the factory one. All right, so this hose, I'm just using the factory clamps. We'll slide on. I don't know what's blowing my hand, but whatever it is, I must have touched something else. All right, it's on pretty good. Let's see if we can slide just a little bit further back. All right, so that's on. All right, couldn't really do it holding the cameras. I needed 2 hands to get the good grip on there, but it's on. So now to cut this hose and splice in the T-junction. All right, so I connected the new hose to the PCV system. Here's a T-junction that came with the kit. Here's the other T-junction that goes off to the valves. And there it is, reconnected to PCV. All right, driver's side done. And there's the purple and blue wires you see down there. That's the wastegate controls for the JB4. So now just gotta do the passenger side and we're done. The fun side. Now the rumor is the passenger side is easier to do than the driver's side. However, from when we do the wastegate controls, and you can see they are right here, it was a royal pain in the ass to get to. Now it does look like the clamps on the coupler might be a little bit easier on this side, so hopefully that's the case, because I wanted to try to do the harder side first, because that's what other people said it does. The driver's side was hardest, so we gotta see what happens. Lord of mercy. Well, the passenger side would have been easier, except for some asshole at the dealership last time they took this apart for whatever reason, put the lower clamp bolt back here instead of up here. If it was here, you could easily just get a socket on there and just turn it. A few seconds later, it's off. Now this shit's taking me minutes because it's like an eighth of a turn is as much space as you could get with the head of that clamp back in the back side of it. All right, install is done. There's driver's side, passenger side, and I learned a lesson because it doesn't come with instructions on this setup. The longer coupler belongs to the driver's side. The short one will work on either side, but the long one actually belongs on the driver's side. It sits higher up than the passenger side one. It's just about 1.5 inches shorter. So just be aware that when you buy the kit, short one belongs on the passenger side, but the short one will work on either side of the engine, but the long one will only work on the driver's side. Most part, when you're doing a canyon, you don't really go over past third gear on average. You can, but you want the torque to pull you through the corners. Somebody behind me is really hitting it hard. I keep hearing tires squealing. It sounds like it's coming from behind me. Turbo spooling up loud. Who knows? Maybe they're almost gone. Alright guys, so here I did finally finish the Q50 blow-off valve install, and it's basically the TurboSmart blow-off valves, the plum black or black plum, whatever it's called. The original instructions was to use this hose from the PCV system and connects down there. But what I was noticing was that, I don't know if it's just my car or just all of these cars in general, but when you connect it through there, you can't, there doesn't seem to be enough vacuum pressure to open up the blow-up valves unless you're a wide open throttle, like flooring it, you know, on the highway, and then you let off of it. So I redid everything, And now I have it going to, let's see if I could get this into focus here. So I redid it to where, you know, like Z1 and Concept Z and all them say to do it. So right here on the manifold, and then there's a pipe in behind here where the other part connects to. So here's where the T-fitting is. Goes to another T-fitting. These two then sprout out to both blow-off valves. Here's the one on the driver's side. Here's the wastegate control wires for the JB4, by the way. And the TurboSmart valves feel very sturdy. And I know I need to clean up some of my hoses and wires and just how everything's laid out, but you know, it ain't that big of a deal to me right now. But anyways, the blow-off valves seem like really strong metal. They're really sturdy. I didn't go with the HKS's because one, I didn't like the like I'm a freaking bird. It's not really my favorite. These just sound like a big gush of air when they let out. I have a little snippet later on. I got to connect my GoPro so that you can hear it a little bit better, because inside the car, the phone just doesn't pick up the sound that well. So I'm going to put my GoPro on the outside so that you can hear it. You can hear it like by your own ears inside the car, but the camera just doesn't pick it up. So it won't really make good for video. Alright, so a video I'm about to show you, I did earlier, and it's basically just to hear how the blow-off valves sound inside the, well, actually from outside the car. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, you can hear it pretty good inside the car with your own ears, but the camera just wasn't picking it up. So I wired up the external mic that I had on my Altima. I transferred one of the cables into this car, which, you know, routes right here, and then it goes into the cabin where it hooks up to my GoPro, which mounts right there. And I also have the mount for when I use my cell phone to record going out. But yeah, so when I listened to the video, I thought that it was actually going to be, you know, since it's under the hood, you aren't going to really hear a whole lot of wind noise. But turns out this car sucks in a whole lot of air when you're driving fast. So you can still hear the wind noise. So I think next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little windsock around the mic so that you don't hear so much wind. You just hear the sound. But yeah, these blow-off valves actually work really well. And now that I've actually listened to it, they're working, they're doing a lot more than you actually hear. Like you could hear them releasing air pressure without you being a wide open throttle. It's just that inside the car, because the car is so well insulated, you don't notice it. But you'll see in the video coming up, on this part of the video. So got everything's installed, everything's working great. Got to give a shout out to SkrillaGorilla. Your kit worked perfect. As I said, the only thing I really screwed up on was that I put the wrong coupler on the wrong side initially. So everything else was fine. The only other thing I would change is that use the ports on the back of the manifold, not the PCV system. Even after I took everything apart and redid it, one thing I realized is that the PCV hose, even though it was only there for a few days, there was already some oil residue in there. So you gotta figure, the longer you go with it attached to that hose, you're gonna end up getting oil into the blow-off valves. So it's probably better to use that back hose that I showed you earlier, the one that most of the other companies use. But outside of that, thank you. I appreciate it. Link below for to the contact SkrillaGorilla on Instagram, and like, subscribe, comment. Any questions I usually answer. Even the ones that are just people just running off of the mouth, I'm cool. But yeah, so here's my really dirty QX70. Black is so hard to keep clean. And yet, I went and made the QX, or the Q50, half black. Go figure, right? But at least this is vinyl, so, no big deal if it gets destroyed. I could just take it off, redo it. No big deal. Oh, and for some of you who may have been wondering about the videos with the races, there's, let me show you something. So, in the other video, I did show you that I do rock around with the baby seat still in the car. And Elmo. What you didn't also see was that I also carry a stroller and a lawn chair in the back. So all them V8 boys who are there, especially the one with the yellow Mustang, I found out was whining about how he didn't have traction and he was spinning and blah, blah, blah. It's like, sorry, bro. I'm rear wheel drive. I'm not even all wheel drive. I was spinning too, but I still came out with a W. So next time, ready to rock Mustang, obviously can't rock against the Q50. Just plain. I'm pretty sure that if he could hook up, he might actually be close to pulling on me. I don't know if he would beat me, but it'll be a closer race than what it was that night. But we'll see what happens down the line.